And
The WBBM Noon Business Hour continues.
Netflix has been threatening to limit the practice of password sharing for quite some time. Now the company appears poised to take action. Let's get an update from Tim Hanlon, founder and CEO of the Vertere Group based in Chicago. Tim, thanks for joining us this evening.
Remember that Netflix is a worldwide enterprise, and by the latest data that I've seen, something on the order of, I think it's like 222 million paid accounts exist today. Households or users are out there that are freeloading or sharing or otherwise not paying for the service. So even if they were able to make some kind of dent, if you will, or additional revenue from those estimated 100 million additional users, fraction of them.
What is the most common form of password sharing, at least inside the Netflix universe?
Yeah, I mean, as most people know who are Netflix subscribers, right, there is you log in and then you're able to add, I don't know if it's unlimited, but it's a certain number of profiles, right? So your child has one profile and you have another one, your spouse may have another one, and largely that's not to restrict content, although there are some restrictions for younger audiences as a fail-safe for protecting kids from content issues. But it is more of a personalizable and or a recommendational kind of device and function. In essence, it really doesn't much matter, right? I think the challenge is people using those passwords and not caring about those profiles. And that's kind of why it's been relatively, usable process for people to get access. But what Netflix is testing right now, and a lot of people are thinking is going to happen, is one of the ways is to entice people who don't pay to take their profiles with all their recommendational stuff and their previously watched and those kinds of things as to a new subscription. Meaning, can we incentivize people who don't pay to take their profile from their, shall we say, pilfered account and use that as an enticement to register for their own independent paid-for account? That remains to be seen, but that's what they've been testing.
Now, it seems like the most common form of password sharing, as you mentioned, is like inside families, where maybe you had kids who got their own profiles under the children's banner, 6 or 7 years ago. Now they've grown up. Now they're in college. Now they're in high school. And one would assume old enough to pay for it on their own, but they're still using the family service. Or you have an extended family and different relatives are taking advantage of the Netflix account that you're paying for because you're borrowing another password from somebody else's account. So how do they kind of crack down on this intra-family sharing? And if it's successful, will other streaming services follow suit?
Yeah, look, there's also a part of this which has not been sort of formally announced. The idea of restricting or potentially incentivizing a profile transfer is one thing, and maybe there's some value to that for certain consumers. But I think what you're hinting at, and maybe as part of their still evolutionary process, is, when a family has people that leave, like kids go to college and that kind of stuff, they're actually physically leaving the proximity of the household, right? They're going to another state, another city, or whatever it is. I can't not imagine that Netflix will not try to additionally try to figure out some kind of IP address situation where it will know whether said subscription is being accessed from outside the original household's geography. I honestly think that's part of their crackdown over time. So far, no announcement yet, and they have been testing some of that, but for now, they have not. I think that they can easily whittle away a few million of those non-paying subscribers by just the profile thing, but I can't imagine they won't get into geography at some time in the near future.
And this is not necessarily a new problem faced by the streaming services. Others have promised to crack down on password sharing, and nothing really has become of it. 8 years ago, I seem to recall doing a segment about how HBO GO, back when it was called HBO GO, was going to go after password sharers, and nothing really became of that. So there's a good possibility that the Netflix password sharing crackdown just could end up on the pile of discarded streaming initiatives.
Yeah, well, look, when you're growing, as Netflix was for the last 10, 15 years, it doesn't much matter because it's just growth, right? Now they've grown so big, now they have to actually reclaim some of that, and they actually get some revenue from that. So I think you'll see the other streamers do the same thing and follow up very fast thereafter, similar to what Netflix is going to try to do.
Tim Hanlon, founder and CEO of the Vertere Group based in Chicago. Thanks for joining us this afternoon.